everyone. Another Unite to Ignite interview. We're here today with Morgan. How are you today, Morgan?
Can't complain too much. How about you?
I am doing well. We're actually interviewing during COVID-19. So it's a coronavirus thing happening. The United States is affected pretty bad, I heard.
Yeah.
Has it affected you in any way?
Yeah, I'm working from home right now, which is a really big change. I'm used to working on sort of like a lot of hustle and bustle, lots of people moving around all the time. I'm usually on my feet all day. But now I'm working at home. I don't really have a workspace, so I'm like sleeping, eating, and working all on my bed. So
Aw.
starting to feel cabin fever, trying to find reasons to leave the house more. So yeah, pros and cons. It's nice because I get to sleep in a little bit, but it's hard just staring at screens all day.
I believe it. I was actually excited that we were interviewing, and I was like, yeah, I actually get to socialize with someone different than, the people I work with. So this is great. This is great. So as far as working from home, what do you have to do? What's your work schedule like when you work from home?
Yeah, so we have a morning conference call meeting at 9:15, and we sort of like check in with everybody. What's cool is because I work for a mental health nonprofit, it's not just staff that are in on these conference calls, it's members too. So it's we spend like the first half of the meeting basically just like checking in. How are you doing today? What are you doing to sort of stave off isolation? Have you gotten outside? Talk about your emotions. So it's
Aw,
cool. Yeah, like just checking in with people.
yeah.
Like
I
a
guess if you work for mental health, and you're in the field, then they should value your mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that we check in with everybody, with all the staff, all the members who call in. So that's how the day starts. And then after that, I spend most of the morning making like phone calls and sending text messages, sort of checking in on members, asking if they need help with transportation or food or finding work or sort of whatever needs pop up. And then we have another meeting at 1:00, same sort of thing.
Kind of recap.
Yeah, basically. And then in the afternoon, I've been making a lot of deliveries, like taking food to people, picking up prescriptions and taking it to them. There's one person who even wanted a couple of Bibles, so had to track those down.
Aw.
Did it for a laptop. So yeah, in the afternoon, I'm like usually making deliveries and drop-offs.
So is that a part of your job, or do you just do that because you're a nice person?
I would say a little bit of both. It's not specifically in the job description, but I am only doing it for people at work, for the members that I serve. So it would not normally be a part of my job at all. But that's the thing, is the quarantine is really pushing us to expand what our idea of what we do is. Because normally it's, you sort of come in, the place I work at functions a lot like a community center. So people are coming in. I work in the culinary unit, so I'm usually helping teach people cook, talking about nutrition.
Oh,
So yeah, which I love my job day to day.
yeah, that's
But now that
awesome.
we're all out of the building, it's my job description is like kind of totally transformed.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's
Have you
definitely.
spent some time in the kitchen maybe experimenting for yourself?
I have not. I actually rarely cook for myself at home. I have been cooking for myself more, but nothing like exciting. I had like pork chops and mashed potatoes the other day, so nothing like.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Solid. Came from North Carolina, so I like the good, like home style cooking. That sort of.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So you were born in North Carolina?
I was actually born in Michigan, outside of Metro Detroit. Yeah, and then when I was about 11, I moved down to North Carolina and did most of my growing up there. So that's
Okay.
where I'm from.
So raised in North Carolina. Is your family still there?
Yeah, my mom and dad are.
What are
Yeah.
you doing up here?
I actually came to Baltimore through the Lutheran Volunteer Corps. Once I was done in college, I wanted to do a service year. I applied to a bunch like Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, and the Lutheran Volunteer Corps, LVC. They just got back to me first, and then they were either going to send me to Minneapolis, Seattle, or Baltimore. And Baltimore was the one I picked just because it was like close enough to home that if there was like
Yeah.
an emergency, it's only a 7-hour drive. So
So did you graduated out of college?
yeah, back in May of 2017 is when I graduated.
What did you major in?
Majored in English lit.
And then you just wanted to volunteer? He's like, I just want to help the world.
Yeah, actually, my last 2 years of college, I was really involved with campus ministry, and did my last like senior internship there. And
Mhm.
there was a brief period of time where I considered whether or not I wanted to go to seminary. So I sort of I needed something to do out of college. You know, everyone was like scrambling to find jobs now that we're like out in the real world. So
Yeah.
by doing a service year, I kind of gave myself an extra year break because, you know, as long as you keep working, they give you a stipend, they give you a place to, you know, place to sleep, make sure you have food. So it's like all my necessities would be covered, and it would give me a sort of a year to think about what I really wanted. And during the year, I just sort of figured out like working in mental health and living in Baltimore is just what I wanted to keep doing. So I just decided to stay.
Well, that's cool. You kind of found your purpose here. You stumbled upon it, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, right place, right time is like the story of my life.
So, do you see yourself staying in the mental health field?
I do. Whether it's I love this specific model of mental health rehabilitation. But I could see myself doing like social work or counseling. Probably, depending on how long we're trapped inside, I may look into going back to school online.
Getting some
Um,
type of
to
a
get the
degree in psychology or something.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, with you being in the mental health field, can I pick your brain a little bit about the process of what you do with clients who are struggling with mental health?
Sure, yeah. So that's one of my favorite things that we do is we try and destigmatize mental illness. And so one of the first ways we do that is asking, well, who has mental illness? And the answer is it's everyone across all demographics, all ages, all races, all incomes, like
No
all of,
stereotype.
none at all. No,
Yeah.
it's found in every pocket of the human population. And uh, just like the um, just like the variants of where people with mental illness come from, so also are the needs that they each present. So specifically, our organization focuses a lot on employment and housing because those are the needs that Baltimore has. Overall, people with and
Yeah.
without mental illness are always looking for like stable housing and stable employment. Um, so we have a really robust career development unit. We have a couple different job programs. We have a lot of community employment partners, and so we help find people jobs. Housing is a lot harder. It's kind of like just find it as it comes up, and none of us are experts in it. I mean, we're just equipped with like Google and you know.
Oh, so you're not a real estate agent, but
Yeah,
you do have to go out and
yeah,
find housing.
it's truly a yeah, all the like housing places.
Wow.
It's like so impossible to get on like the Section 8 voucher list. Uh,
Yeah, it's like what, a 8-year wait or something like that. It's really
yeah, and I've heard that they're just like closing it now, that they're just not even accepting new names. So like public housing is basically a no-go. You just have to like know people, like right place, right time. Um, but one of the core parts of our model is two things: autonomy and meaningful work. So with the autonomy, if you go to any other mental health program, a lot of times you're going to go in, you're going to sit down, you're going to talk for an hour about like what your mental health history is, your childhood, your like current state of existence, like how are you doing, you know, how's your housing, how's your
kind of
employment.
like therapy.
Yeah, sort of. And then after that, they kind of pick goals for you that you should be reaching on your own mental health recovery journey. We don't like to do that.
Okay.
We sort of sit down with people. You know, we'd still do an intake assessment.
Mhm.
But then at that point, we sit down with the member one-on-one and ask them what their actual goals are, things that they really want to accomplish. So yeah, it might be housing, it might be employment, but it also might be like, I want to learn how to cook nutritious meals for myself, or I want to spend more time with my family, or I want to play more music with my friends. And then,
Awesome.
yeah, so we do that. And then with autonomy, the meaningful work. So day to day, it's like a lot of operations running. So there's like database entry, answering phones, scheduling appointments, cleaning. We do all of our own custodial work. And which is
Nonprofit life.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's cool because we don't have this like our executive director will also clean the toilets. Like he's not like all of
Wow.
the work is open to everyone. And that same vein, members themselves also help with like budgeting and like making important decisions about hiring. So things like that. So all of the aspects of running the clubhouse, I'm actually wearing the shirt.
You
Is,
want clubhouse?
yeah, that's it. That's us. We actually just celebrated our 10th anniversary last April. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Last year, April?
Yeah. Yep. Last April was our 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the 11th year now.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because we're honestly probably not even going to be in the building for I think it's April 14th is the actual like day.
Yeah, for some reason I thought we were already in April. And then because everyone's like, yeah, everything's closed until like April 20 something, and I'm like, well, that's like 2 weeks away, and we're not even in April yet. So people are already closed for the month of April, and April hasn't even started.
Yeah, it's like shut down.
So how has that affected you guys as far as like payment? Are you government funded?
Only just recently, within the last 2 years, we've started billing Medicaid to get reimbursement for services provided. Before
Okay.
that, we were totally privately funded, just donors and grants, which is kind of a miracle that we made it to 10 years and totally privately funded. I haven't really heard of another nonprofit like that. Which I think is like proof that the community believes in what we do. So we did start billing for Medicaid, and that was definitely one of the initial problems when we found out that we were going to have to shut our building down, because we can only bill for services if people can come in and get them. Right. So we were. My supervisor, who's a social worker, was sort of like fighting with the Medicaid people, like, you gotta give us telehealth, like, because we're still doing the work. We are making these phone calls, we're doing in-person visits, like we are providing services. It just doesn't look like what it normally does. And we actually just got approval for it this week, that we can start doing telehealth. So yeah, we're gonna get to go on a little bit longer, because I gotta tell you, like, if the Medicaid weren't there, we probably wouldn't make it through the summer. So that's the thing with nonprofits. I'm sure you understand, like there's such a thin margin of like a cushion between like making ends meet. So to like keep all the staff on, I mean, we still have to pay for the building because we rent. We have a lot of bills to pay.
Yes, yeah. And it's like when you said privately funded, I did a nonprofit years ago, and everything came out of my pockets. And I tried to sustain it for so long, and then there was a point where other people really had to help.
Yeah.
Until I'm a millionaire, it's really hard to maintain a nonprofit and still pay for bills and everything else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So people must really believe in what you're doing at Be More Clubhouse.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. We had our fundraising event this past October. We had a big like a masquerade party at AVAM, the Visual Arts Museum. And that was like a huge success. I think we brought in over $73,000, which was like our biggest fundraiser ever. We were all just totally shocked. I mean, like jaws on the floor shocked. But it was incredible because it was like a huge turnout. I mean, this whole huge crowded ballroom was just like shoulder to shoulder with people, and people just like could not wait to donate money. So either everyone we know just has like really rich friends who love to give money, or like people really
I'm sure people really are, because mental health is actually like coming into the light. I feel like, mental health in the 90s was, oh, these people are crazy, like schizophrenic, stuff like that. But no one took mental health into, like, I think everyone in the world has some form of anxiety or, people with disorders. So now we're all coming to terms with it, and it's becoming normal and acceptable, because before it totally wasn't. So I think this is the perfect time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say the like the public support is there for sure. There's still a lot of stigma that's out there about having a mental illness or what that means that you can do or can't do. But the general stigma against like, oh, I have to go see a therapist or a psychiatrist, everyone's like, oh, like we don't want people to know that you're going to do that, or like having to like lie about like where you're going if you need to be in an inpatient care. So those barriers are coming down for sure, and people are being more honest with themselves about what's going on in their own head. Which makes it makes us as individuals better. It makes us as families better. And I think it makes us as communities better too. And we can just be honest about the struggles that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe last week, probably a few days ago, that like depression, things of that nature, it might actually be passed down through genetics.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a huge genetic tie between several mental illnesses. And this is where, if I had gone to school, I would probably be able to list a bunch more. But bipolar for sure does, depression, schizophrenia. Um, and so I don't know how it does with like personality disorders, but mood disorders definitely have a genetic component that we don't fully understand yet, but we do know that if like, so for instance, I am diagnosed with bipolar 2.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was also diagnosed bipolar 2, and I think all of the female cousins on my mom's side also diagnosed with bipolar
It
2.
just goes to the females.
Yeah, they're all older than me too by at least a decade, and so I just kind of, it was like sort of like, all right, when is it my turn? When am I gonna when am I gonna
Yeah.
prove it? But you know, it happened, it's slowly over time. But like, yeah, there's a definitely genetic component, which is interesting because so it was only this past October that my diagnosis was changed from major depressive disorder to bipolar 2. Um, and when I told my mom that was the first time that she had ever told me that she was diagnosed with bipolar 2,
What?
when I was younger. So it's interesting. I know, right? And I know like everything about my mom. Like we have a very open and honest relationship. The number of things that
You
anyone
thought
else
you
would probably be
did.
like to tell me. Yeah. So I was just so surprised. I was like, wow, she still carries around like a lot of shame about how people made her feel. And
Yeah.
that's why I told her, I'm like, Mom, don't you know, like I would have loved you, you know, it wouldn't have changed anything for me. But she was just like too ashamed to talk about it up until I said something. So yeah, so it's interesting that it works both ways too. Like, you know, it's like parents and families can be supportive of kids that are growing up or teenagers that are growing up with any kind of mental illness, but at the same time, like younger generations who are more honest about it and more open about what they're going through and what they're doing to make themselves better inspires older generations as well.
Yeah, that is, and we need each other in that sense, you know, to be open so that we can say, hey, that's what Unite to Ignite is all about. You sharing your story and somebody else saying, hey, me too.
Yeah,
I did not
yeah,
talk about it.
it's empowering.
It is. And we, because a lot of times people feel as though we're alone, but I like to share the fact that there's 7 billion people in the world. And I'm pretty sure we share commonalities with at least one other person.
Definitely.
Anything you're unsure about, there's somebody else in the world who's going through the same thing.
Absolutely.
So you said that you went through a diagnosis change.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that? Like, when did they say, oh, okay, maybe we've gotten this wrong, let's switch it into something else?
Yeah, so the last time I had a formal diagnosis was actually when I was back in college. I got my first diagnosis when I was about 17, but I was going through um, sort of my brother had cancer, and that had all kinds of effects on my
Yeah, of
view.
course.
You know, I was like the oldest child. We were both like we were like bright kids. And so it was like a lot of expectations on me as the older sister. And so that like sort of manifested in like a bit of like situational depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got older, even though the situations changed, the depression I had was still there. And so during college was the formal diagnosis of major depressive disorder. Um, and I just did like weekly therapy for a while, but I eventually just stopped going because I thought that I didn't need it. I, you know, finished out junior and senior year, moved to Baltimore, and then decided that like, all right, I'm a brand new city, brand new job that I love, living with people that I love, and I'm like still so depressed that I cannot pull myself out of bed. Like maybe it's time to take a look at medication as a
Yeah.
solution. And so I went and talked to my primary care doctor. She just prescribed Zoloft, and I stayed on that for a little over a year. And it was immensely helpful at first. But then eventually it didn't really make a difference. And it was like every day I'd come from home from work and I just like couldn't wait to get back in bed and like turn on the TV and like turn off the light and just like be alone in the dark for
Yeah.
good. And so like
Yeah.
all of my energy, if I had any at all, it was being spent on just like making sure that I didn't lose my job because I was depressed. And that was pretty grim. And I didn't really like talk to anybody about it or like sort of show anybody about it. But like one day I was just like, okay, if I don't change something, like I'm getting to like a tipping point. So I called around, and working at a mental health organization made it great because my boss was really supportive about me finding the right sort of care.
See, that makes me so sad that you were going through your own depression episodes and you work for mental health.
Yeah. 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 And it was actually a great opportunity to talk with members about like, like
From a
successful
personal
people aren't
standpoint.
ones that don't have mental illness. It's ones that just have like found coping mechanisms to deal with it. And so that's like me. So like I'm working, I like pretty successful at my job. And I'm also managing living with a mental illness. And so it's not impossible to have a career and also manage your mental illness. So once I got support from my boss, I like scheduled a bunch of appointments. I like to shop around because I think that having a good fit with your therapist is like easily one of the most important factors. Because if I can't be honest with that, I'm just going to lie. And I'm not going to get help, and it's going to be a waste of money and a waste of their time.
Yeah.
So sort of like shopped around, found a new one. And when they were doing the intake assessment, and I told them that I had been diagnosed with depression before, but they said like, given answers that I gave, that I more closely aligned with the bipolar 2 diagnosis, which was kind of like, that like hit me really hard, which I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where like bipolar is still so stigmatized. Like you call the weather bipolar. Like I didn't want people to think I was like crazy. I was also in a
Yeah.
relationship at the time, so I didn't know what he was going to say or think about like, well, now his girlfriend is like the crazy one who like has bipolar. So like had all of these thoughts running around in my head. But really the diagnosis itself didn't really change anything about my life. It just like allowed me to get on the right medication, which that has been awesome. That has kept me going for sure.
Okay.
And it's not something that I plan on being on forever. But at the moment it's like a crutch that I use and need and helps me be more productive and set up.
So, well, that's what so the medicine, is it like a focus pill, or is it like a happy pill? Is it like a mixture of both?
It's like neither, because it's not instant. Yeah. I have one pill that is take as needed for anxiety, and that one is an instant sleep pill. It doesn't
What?
calm me down to just like until I will just pass out.
Like, oh my gosh, you're freaking out. You need to take a nap.
Yeah, they didn't want to give me any like controlled substances, and so this one is like, it's, oh man, it was like made to be an antihistamine, but like mental health providers also use it as an anti-anxiety medication because of
Okay,
the
so like Benadryl times 10.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm on Lamictal now, which was actually also originally supposed to be an anti-epileptic medication, so to stop people from having seizures. But the way that it works is it builds up over time. So it's not going to be an instant thing, and it sort of like levels out your neurochemicals to like function better.
Okay.
And so some people can be on it for a long time and their brain adjusts to that, and then they can go off of it and still be fine. The danger is like you just don't want to like go off of it completely, just like stop cold turkey, because that will really mess with your system. So if you decide that you want to come off of it, you have to like taper down. And so I had to taper up to get up to the dosage I'm at now. And so it doesn't really, I can't tell a difference from before I take it and after I take it. But I can tell a difference after like a month of being on it. And like, I don't want to just like cry all day, every day, or like,
That's good. Yeah.
yeah,
That
so
is good.
it's hard to tell that it is working, but like when you look back over time, you can tell.
So when you were going through depression, could you pinpoint a reason behind it? Like, was there like something happened and from that point on, I've just been sad? Or is it just like, I'm just a sad person for no reason all day?
Great question. Both. So sometimes, sometimes something would happen. Like, yeah, anything could happen. Like somebody I know might die, or like lose a job, or get some like troubling news or something, and that
Yeah.
would sort of kick off a depressive episode. But sometimes they would just start for no reason, which those are like extra hard to talk yourself out of because there's no reason why you got depressed, so there's no reason you can talk yourself out of it. It's just kind of like a state of being, and like I've been dealing with it for I don't know, like 7-8 years. And so I can sort of like tell when an episode is coming on. And so like I have things I do to like routines or like self-care activities that help me sort of like stay up, but sometimes those don't work. Because that's just like the nature of the
So
beast. Like
what do you do? What's your go-to? Like oh man, I'm getting sad. What should I do? What do you do?
I exercise is really important, and it's
Yeah.
something
Dopamine rush.
I really, really hate working out. I hate exercising. I like hiking. I like dancing. And so try and do those. So like spending time outside is great. Going for walks. Because it does a couple things. Like first of all, getting like fresh air and sunshine is like physically good for you too. Like vitamin D boost is always excellent. The fresh air instead of like the stale inside air.
Mm-hmm.
But also like the movement itself releases endorphins in your brain, just like the happy chemicals. So
Awesome.
it does like chemically boost your mood too. I try to like maintain a steady routine at home. So that means like waking up at the same time every day, like getting up and making my bed right away so I don't like lie back down in it. So it's just
That's
like
smart.
things. Yeah, like making sure there's like make sure all the dirty laundry is in the hamper, like make sure like I washed the dishes from last night. So like it's little things
That you won't wake up and feel like triggered, so they won't build up.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's like the overwhelming feeling of like I have these things that I know I should be doing but I just can't. So not only are you depressed, you have these things lying around, but now you also feel like ashamed that you couldn't like pull yourself up out of bed, like do this really easy thing.
I feel like that's where, so I go through episodes of, just being depressed, and I feel like it comes from me not doing things I know I should do. Like, oh man, I'm supposed to meet with so and so, but I missed it, and now I just feel so bad and beat on myself about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have episodes too where like I don't know why I'm sad, but I really am in a mood, and I catch it because I just like to eat like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, like
Yeah.
size bag of chips gone in 30 minutes, packs of cookies, chocolate, and I'm just like I don't really drink soda, but if I'm craving a soda, which I was craving one maybe 2 days ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Yeah. So that's like, so the more you like get in touch with yourself and pay attention to your body signals, like that like I have this craving, which means that this thing is about to come on. So I know I need to be doing A, B, C to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's okay to drink the soda too. Like also take the shame out of like eating. I come from a long line of emotional eaters, and there's nothing wrong with eating.
Well, I need to talk to my mother. Like, hey, do you eat when you're sad? Like, do you eat when you feel something coming on? Because definitely, that's my go-to is food. I'm like, oh, I need French fries. I'm just gonna not be good. And another thing I used to like just stay in the bed all day. Well, now I don't even let myself work in the bed. Like if I have work to do, I set up like the office area where I have to get up and I have to sit down in a chair and be far away from the bed.
Yeah. I wish I had the ability to do that, because that is what I'm really craving right now, is like some distance. Like that's the bummer of this quarantine, is because when I'm at home, like I live with other people, but like we mostly keep to our own individual spaces. So when I'm at home, I'm in my room.
Yeah.
So go to work, that's like a reason to like leave the room, leave the house, go be out somewhere else. But like I don't have that reason right now. So I'm like literally just in my room all day, every day, unless I'm out making a delivery. So it's like I think that is definitely making it confusing. My sleep schedule is off for sure. That's definitely one of the most important things, at least for me, like maintaining mood stability, is getting like 8 hours of sleep every single night, no exceptions. Even on the weekends, like waking up at the same time, like going to sleep at a reasonable time, which kind of makes me feel like an old lady, because like it 9:30 rolls around, I'm like, ooh, better start like making moves to like get in bed, like put on the PJs, like turn the lights down.
Are you serious?
Like old lady, which is so funny because I'm trying to do music too, and it's like if I want to do music at all, like you have to be out like way late at night,
10 to 12 to 1 in the morning. Yes.
Yeah.
That is so funny. That is something that I honestly probably do need to work on, because I'll go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and be back up at 7, and then I'm just like,
yeah. And you don't even realize it until like after you get like, I dare you to get 1 week of like just 8 hours of sleep every single night, no exceptions, and like you will feel like a brand new person with like tons of energy you never knew you had.
Definitely try it, because I've been on like maybe an energy drink splurge for probably this past month. Like I didn't do energy drinks for like the longest time, and then this past month is just energy drink.
Yeah.
energy drink. And if I don't have it, I'm just not happy. I'm really cranky. I'm like, why am I so cranky? And my husband's like, oh, you didn't drink your energy drink. And I'm like, oh, yeah, caffeine, duh.
Yeah. No, caffeine. Yeah, caffeine headaches are real, and I hate
Yeah,
that.
migraines. Yeah, they are really bad, and it's so unfortunate. It's like I feel like I'm on a drug, but I know like if I don't drink that caffeine, I'm gonna need a nap or something along those lines. So I definitely try to get my intake in the morning and struggle through my day after that.
Yeah, yeah. I try not to drink any caffeine after like 12 in the afternoon, because then it will keep me up if I drink it after that.
Yep,
I don't mind
that's
it.
why I'm up until 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, mind. I'll be awake. I'll get something done. I'll do whatever. But like then the next day, I'm almost always suffering for it. So it's hard because like you said, you want to like get your stuff done. You want to be like productive through your whole day. So you like it's like this it feels like this balancing act between like I gotta like drink this energy drink to do what I need to do, or do I like take care of myself and like trust that the work will get done. Which is I read both. I'm in, like definitely on both sides of that equation. So yeah,
Some days I'm like, I won't drink it. I'll try to use my natural energy because I'm a big believer in we have everything inside of us that we need to succeed and survive already. We have all the capabilities inside of us. It's just a matter of utilizing it and making sure they're refreshed and refueled for the next day.
yeah,
And then so I'm like, yeah, I got this. I can stay up. I've done this before. I've done it I did it a month ago. So it's like, why can't I do it now? And then maybe like 3 p.m. I'm just like, I can't. I can't. What was I supposed to do? What was on my list? I'll get like the major stuff done, and then everything else just gets pushed off until the next day.
yeah,
So, and it's really unfortunate. And I know a lot of people with working from home and not being in their norm, they're going through it. I had a client call me recently, and she was like, I need you, and I'm like, why? I thought you were self-quarantining. She's like, I'm going crazy. Oh, like I really didn't even think to consider how everyone else would be reacting, from being outside of their normal events. We're used to seeing people, we're used to, going outside and going to different things and events, and now all of that is closed.
yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know, like social isolation and like quarantining is like easy enough when you still have like the option to like go out and like go to the store. Like last week, I like after I finished making a drop off, I decided to drive over to a Guitar Center since I was close to one and like buy a pair of headphones. Can't do that now because like the retail stores are closed. So
Yeah.
like if I'm not, so like today I just like ate lunch in my car with the windows down because I just like needed a change of scenery. It was like something, anything to like.
Oh, that's smart. I still think we can do because we're not on full lockdown yet. So
Yeah,
we're doing social distancing. I still think it's okay to go take a hike, walk through the woods or do a trail, or I walk my dog. It's okay to do things like that. Because I know if it does come to we have to stay in the house, it's police enforced, you can't go anywhere, then that's going to be a whole different world.
definitely.
And I
Yeah.
hope it doesn't come to that. But I seen like people outside. There was like a funnel cake guy, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to us? You got people standing in line for funnel cakes. It's a whole virus going around.